Hi there and welcome. If you're a mom who experienced childhood trauma and finds raising your kids challenging, even triggering at times, this podcast is for you. This is Motherhood Unmasked, the podcast for you, the mom battling the effects of your childhood trauma. I'm your host, Vanessa Harris, and I'm so glad you're here. There's no vulnerability like being a child. In the best case scenario, you place your trust in loving parents trying their best to raise you. In the worst case, you live at the mercy of people who brought you into the world but make their regret known daily. Either way, as a child, you fully depended on faulty people doing the best they knew to do. But if you grew up in the unwanted category, you felt like a failure for never doing enough to change their regret. One of the things I marvel at in children is how quick they give a parent the benefit of the doubt. They'll reinterpret words and actions of parents to assume the best of them. When your mother tells you your father didn't want any more children and would have preferred a boy, it angers you as a 15-year-old girl. But as a 5-year-old, you try to explain it away or think it's your fault you made mommy mad enough to say that. It's like your child brain can't wrap your mind around someone you love meaning such a thing. But really, it's your mom vomiting her insecurity all over you because she doesn't have the tools or the courage to address her own daddy issues. So you tuck her words away and work really hard to make your parents proud because subconsciously you believe you don't deserve to be alive. I don't know what words made you feel insignificant, but no matter what that silly nursery rhyme says about sticks and stones, words can certainly hurt you. Words have the power to build up or to tear down, to nurture life or to destroy it. So the teen girl is just as traumatized to hear the most important man in her life doesn't value her development as a woman and his role in it. And to hear it from the female who makes the biggest impression on her concept of womanhood. It plants the seed of an internal critic, chiming in with the culture's message that your life and your contributions aren't valuable. Just when she's figuring out who she is, she has to fight off negative narratives, and 2 against 1 is not a fair fight. So it's no wonder I've struggled with mothering from a place of confidence with my daughter because as she grows, she reminds me of me at her age, growing up with a mother who treated me more as a prop than a person needing nurturing and development. But my daughter's worth the fight, just as you and I are, because we are chosen, despite what the brokenness of the people called to raise us communicated. No parent gets to order their child from a catalog according to the specifications that suit the parent best. That's what makes parenting difficult. More than stretch marks on your hips, children challenge you to stretch beyond long-established coping mechanisms to meet their need and grow in the process. That's the mission, but it's up to you to accept it. But the God who made you doesn't have those issues. In His completeness, He chose you to be just the way you are, and He made room for you to exist at this point in time, making sure you outswam the other sperm jockeying to fertilize the egg that became you. Your being here has nothing to do with your parents' preferences and everything to do with God's will for your life. He has a purpose with your name on it, and He used your parents, even their brokenness, to bring you to pass. No matter what your father thought about you or your mother spoke over you, there is a Father who has plans to give you hope and a future. And that's the truth I drive into my daughter and her brothers regularly because I know their father and I make our fair share of mistakes. We don't always convey their value as we should because we have our own issues we trip over. So I need the intentionality of their existence to be a settled matter, separate from the flawed people they call mom and dad. And I make it a point to celebrate how God uniquely wired each of my children, especially my daughter, because I know the culture's message to women is to conform to society's standard for us at all costs. It's a message many of us buy into, understandably, for survival's sake, which explains why my mom found the ways I'm different than her threatening rather than intriguing. But you deserve to embrace your authentic self. My daughter and I do as well. Why? Because you're designed for your purpose. So living fulfilled is based on you owning your expression of God's image. You give your children a gift when you teach them to do the same. And because mothers are more likely to nurture, if you have a daughter, be intentional about getting to know her, hearing her heart, and sharing yours, even when it's awkward. Your relationship with her affects her esteem as well as her perspective on relationships with other females, including her own daughter one day. If you struggle with rejection and would like more food for thought on embracing that you're chosen, check out the show notes for this episode at motherhoodunmasked.com/episode 56. You'll also find the links to resources from licensed therapists as well as journals and other books I've written that offer hope for healing. And something new I'd love to share with you is a prayer channel on YouTube sponsored by Vine Life Faith. The channel is called Got a Minute to Pray, and it's where I pray for about a minute or so based on a Bible verse. These short, powerful prayers are the perfect way to start your week aligned with God's plans for you. And while I love long talks with Jesus, what busy mama doesn't appreciate a way to nourish her soul when she's on the go? Get the deets on the prayer channel and more when you head to today's show notes at motherhoodunmasked.com/episode 56. And until next time, as you ponder being chosen to be here for such a time as this, please remember, when it comes to you being the mother of your children, you were chosen for that too. You are the woman for the job. I'm rooting for you. Take care. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and making Motherhood Unmasked part of your day today. If you would, go ahead and hit the follow or subscribe button so that you know when new episodes air and so that other moms will be able to find out about the show. Motherhood Unmasked is brought to you by Vine Life Faith, where we're breaking negative cycles and building healthy community through connection with Christ. VineLifeFaith.com. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast should not be taken as medical advice. The content here is for informational purposes only, and because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions.